It's Rick without the K. James presents, in my opinion, podcast.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.
The one question I wanted to know is I've seen all your past specials, but are you working on one right now? And
the last
which
one,
platform do you plan to put it on?
The last one we did was a Netflix special, 19, right? It was Contrarian.
Okay.
So then we were supposed to do one last year, and then we had, of course, COVID. And so now I'm writing one, but I'm writing a series too. So I'm trying to make sure that I divide my time.
Do they pick the location where you want to shoot it at, or you do?
You pick the location.
Oh, okay. Do you know
But
where?
I've done. This will be my 12th one, so I've done a lot, and I want to be a decidedly in a decidedly different headspace. So it takes a little while. So I'm getting it back to you. I think COVID, when I got COVID, and it really for about a year, I'd say, really I was really foggy and couldn't get it together. It was a very tough time creatively for me. But now it feels like the light's on again, and I'm feeling like really creative and sharp.
Okay. All right. I watch a lot of Vlad TV, and I'll say that on this podcast a lot. And I've seen, I want to say, every episode you've been on. And the first episode that you came on, you talked about, I don't know how you guys got into racism or whatever, and you said that there's going to be one event that happens that is going to wake up the nation.
Right.
Now, when you said that was pre-George Floyd.
Right.
So I want to know, do you think that's the event? Or
I think it's not 100% of one thing. It's 1% of 100 things. I think that incrementally, and I think it's because of the information age. I think it's because now we see and have access to so much more information than we ever did before. Because those things happen. George Floyd, unfortunately, is a fairly common occurrence in our communities. It's just the nation didn't get to see it. And now, because of the advent of technology and the introduction of technology, we're seeing more things. We saw Ahmaud Arbery. It was just a tragedy in Minnesota. 2 weeks ago, a week ago now. So I think, but the danger about seeing something so often, it can also make you callous too.
Yes.
So it can make you can start to feel like it's just so difficult that there's no really the point in trying to tackle it. So I hope that we keep having these touchstones that show us A, how far we've come, but B, how much further we need to go.
And I guess the reason why I bring that up too, Dio, is because, like I said, I felt like I was like, I think he's Nostradamus or something like, because you did say it, and that's the only event that I've seen in my lifetime that other cities, when
Right.
you guys, when you had the Comedy Act Theater back then, you guys had the Rodney King riots, and that was contained in Los Angeles. But when George Floyd happened, you was hit major cities all over the United States.
There have been over 200 race riots in the United States of America. 200. And they have all primarily started the same way, where some disenfranchised community has an injustice met upon them by authorities, and then nothing happens. And so the fact is that they are fairly common. And I think that now America, for whatever reason, can't seem to get away from itself and turn it off. And so I'm hoping it starts to crystallize that this is a notion that either we will accept or change.
With that said, I see that you get, I don't want to call it political, but you obviously do your homework, and I was afraid of that part in this interview where I'm like, Jesus, maybe I'm not educated enough to have this conversation with them, but that leads me to ask you: is there something in this comedy legacy that you haven't gotten to and that you're working on, and would that be it?
I think that every year one of my goals is to be clearer and clearer and clearer, just to be clearer and more succinct and more exact. And be more precise than I was before, and so I think that there's so much information to absorb, but it's funneled through my perspective, and it becomes a thing that I talk about or write about or introduce comedically, but there's just so much information that my goal is to be introspective and clear as I can be from a creative perspective. And so it's not deliberate. It's just so those are the things that I see all the time. I just kind of, I read a lot, I dialogue a lot, and so that starts to form these notions, and then they work themselves out some kind of creative output: radio, TV, comedy, book. So
because I've seen you go up on Fox News and give it right back to them, and that's where I tell people, I'm like, if I got to where I wanted to in comedy, my thing would be child custody issues.
Sure.
And I said, because for me, I've had to deal with it. I'm down to 103 days
right
until my
now,
youngest
well, you know
turns.
how many days you yeah. That's like being in the joint. 103 days I get out of war. I'm out of here.
Oh, it's worse than being in jail.
103 days I don't wake up, man.
Until he turns 18, until my youngest turns 18.
Right.
And my oldest lives with me, and he lived with me as soon as he pretty much turned 18.
Right.
So the struggle that males have in that realm, I wish there was something. And I'm like, I wish I could build that platform for him.
I think, well, honestly, it just takes awareness. If you look at what happens when people really, truly not only become aware, but that the thing that they're looking at is sympathetic. They can sympathize with it. It changed the LGBTQ struggle to see Ellen and Glee and all those people that you laugh at and you entertain, you start to form something else. Comedically, if you have to become a conduit to people seeing the level of humanity you have, and then they start to understand themselves. What you have to do is put themselves in your shoes, literally, and artistically, I think is the best way, the conduit toward that. So I think if that's something you want to do, you'll find a way to reach people through your art form.
Is there anything that you want to do through that vehicle?
I think that I want the goal for me is just to be, like I said, as clear as possible, and to see people as human as possible. I don't think we're all that distinctly different. I mean, obviously, difference and nuances can be funny, but in the end, humanity and having humanity clearly see itself is the goal.
Are you going to schedule a TED Talk any soon? And I say that because, like I said, man, I watch so much of you talk, and I'm like, man, this man, I wish he was my dad, so he can spit some games sometimes. So, props to you, man.
Then I had old child support for you. No,
No.
You're not putting me in there.
Boy, Charlie Murphy, my main man, Ric James. That's the one you think, the comedian Ric James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.